put them together sometimes, but it's fene. Okay, phi, alpha, iota, ni, epsilon, iota, ke, scotia, afto, katalovan. Now the there is a negative particle. It's not katalaven. It's translated several words. In the King James, it's did not overcome it. It's actually did not understand it. Either one's all right, but we'll just go with overcome. So let me read to you now the first 5 verses, and you just notice how they're pronounced. Take notice of it, and when you get home, take your Greek New Testament out, listen to how it's pronounced, and do your best. You're doing good to pronounce it as I have. And what it takes is just repetition, over and over and over. Until you're familiar with it, I want you to be able to recognize it, to be comfortable with it, to be able to pronounce it without any problem. All right. Pardon me. In archi in o logos, ke o logos in proston theon. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Ke theos in o logos, and God was the Word, or in most translations, and the Word was God. But the word order is changed. Actually, in the Greek here, as you can see, it says, and God, theos, was the Word. Utos, this one. Utos in archi. This one was in beginning, proston theon, with God. Panda theaftu, all things by him, GWINNETT, came to be or began, ke horis, and without aftu him. You got to skip the word GWINNETT if you're making a translation. They, nothing. Now come back to GWINNETT. Nothing came to be in o yegomen, that came to be. So that's how it's pronounced. Any questions about the pronunciation of the words?
That was through verse 4.
Okay. Now take your textbook, if you will, please. Pardon me. Look at page 13. We noticed that the first number 9 there on page 13, I just wanted to point out, the Greek accents indicated in ancient times not stress as we do today, what we call accent, but musical pitch. We don't know what those musical pitches were. The accented words, no matter what the accent is, the stress is provided on that particular syllable, okay? Whether it's an acute, a grave, or a circumflex. No difference in them. They're pronounced, as far as pronunciation is concerned, it's pronounced the same. And when the language was first invented, I guess, if the best way to say it, the musical pitch, the voice going up, high, or down, showed the stress marks, what we call accent. Okay, I want you to turn with me, if you will, pardon me, to page number 20. Page number 20. Lesson number 3. I want you to notice and underline it, highlight it, whatever you want to do. Lesson 3 is about present active indicative. Present active indicative. Present tense, active voice, indicative mood. Now later on we'll learn about the moods. Don't worry about it. But in the Greek language, mood can help you understand and see some things that are not brought over in any English translation. Mood will help you tremendously. Here we have present active indicative. Now notice, if you will, I'm going to pronounce the vocabulary words for you and point out some things that are important. Notice the endings of all these words. There is vlepo, ginosko, grapho, didasko. Every one of them have the same ending, right? It's omega. Let's go to the other side. Lamvano, leo, leo, echo. Every one of them have the same ending. So in present active indicative, the ending is omega. Now notice, please. I'm going to pronounce them. And when you get home, when you're studying, I want you to try to pronounce them also, like I pronounced them for you. And learn them. Because next week, we're going to be off next week, right? So, because of Memorial Day, by the way, we'll be off. But the following week, when you come in, I may ask you to write some of these words as I speak them. I want you to write them out. So, you need to learn them, okay? The first one is vlepo. Vlepo, I see. Ginosko. Notice the gamma followed by the iota is pronounced ye. It's soft. Ginosko. I know. Then look at the very next word. Grapho. The gamma followed by the rho is guttural. And it's pronounced rough. I write. All right, the next one is didasko. Notice the accent is on the alpha. It isn't on the iota, didasko. It's on the alpha. That shows you how to pronounce it. Didasko. I teach. Okay. The next one on top there, lamvano. I take. Lego. I say. Leo. I loose or I destroy. And echo. Echo, I have. I remember years and years ago, in the first Greek class I ever took, the instructor had a little boy, 2 little boys, I think, and they had gone to some canyon somewhere, and he was showing them how to hear the echo, and so he taught them about the echo. When he came to class, he said, "Class, I want you to learn like my little boys did, echo." And that's word association. Learning by association. Echo is I have. So any way you can associate something with the word to help you to learn it, the better off you'll be. Echo, I have. Any questions about the pronunciation? Present active indicative. Will you drop down then to number 17? See the 17 there? The Greek verb has tense, voice, and mood, like the verb in other languages. The present tense in the indicative refers to present time. Look up here on the board with me for just a moment. A present tense verb sees action as continuous. never stopping. You need to learn it like that. Present tense sees action as continuous. I see or I am seeing. Later on we'll talk about the aorist tense and other tenses, but the first one that you want to learn is present tense. Present tense sees action as continuous, continuing on and on and on and on. So, look, if you will, present tense in the indicative refers to present time. The active voice represents the subject as acting instead of being acted upon. Now you'll learn this later, but in the Greek language, there's not only present tense and active voice and passive voice, but there are several moods. But in the Greek language, there is active, meaning the subject is being acted or is doing the acting. Present tense, the subject is doing the acting. There is a middle, which means the subject is being acted upon. As if a couple of these guys got me under each arm and I was walking as they were taking me out of the class. Middle voice is subject is receiving the action or is being acted upon. So there's present, there's middle, and then of course there's past, which means action as having occurred.
Good. Can you give us an example of that in the language?
Well, the very first word, brother, up there, flepo, that's present tense. I see or I am seeing. Ginosko, I know, present tense, or I am knowing. Grapho, I write. So, does that help you any? Does that answer your question?
I'm talking about the active part. Like, when you say active, I mean, the present tense is continuous.
Continuous, the present tense sees action, present tense sees action as continuous.
Right.
Well, if I'm looking at you, I'm seeing, I am seeing, or I see. Okay? Means it continues. I'm standing here looking at you. Present tense sees action as continuous. Or let's say, I am watching the clock. Means my gaze is fixed upon the clock. Continuous action. I don't turn away left or right. It's continuous action. Okay?
And what about the middle tense?
Well, middle, we'll get into it later, brother, but it's when the subject is being acted upon. In other words, he participates in the action. He's not doing the acting, but he participates in it. Two guys under my arms, marching me out. They're not dragging me. My feet's not being drugged. I'm participating in the action by walking. That's middle. Okay? And of course, passive is the subject is being acted upon. He don't have a choice. He's just being, subject's being acted upon. And we'll learn those as we go. But I need to introduce them to you today. Look, if you will, paradigm 18, present active indicative of Leo. Pardon me. Present active indicative of the verb Leo. I loose. The first word is Leo, of course, and it's singular. You see it there? Leo. Notice, I loose or I am loosing. It's the same thing. Present tense. I loose or I am loosing. Leo. Now, if we were going to parse this word, here's what we would say. Leo is present tense, active voice, indicative mood. Now watch this. First person, what? Singular. There you go. So it's present tense, active voice, indicative mood, first person singular. You've just parsed your first word. Look at the next word. Lease. Lease. You. Now they're using the archaic word thou, and that's fine. But it's you, or thou loosest, or thou art loosing. Now, someone tell me, if you were parsing the word lease, tell me how you'd parse that word.
It's present tense, active voice, indicative mood, second person, singular.
Very good, very good. And you're doing that by looking at the ending. You see?
All those
See the endings? O, ease, e. That's the endings. That tells you a whole lot about the word. It tells you, O would tell you that it's first person singular. Ease would tell you that it's second person singular. And e, would tell you that it's third person singular. Now, I asked you to memorize these last week. It's O, ease, e, amen, ete, usi. All right, let's go to the plural form. Li omen. Li omen, if I were going to parse that word, I would say li omen is present tense, active voice, indicative mood, first person, what? Plural. There you go. Li ete. Li ete. If I was going to parse that word, present active indicative, second person, plural. Li usi. Parse that one for me. Very good. So you've got first, second, and third person singular, first, second, and third person plural. It's very important. Look up here at me just a minute. Everybody look up here at me. It's very important that you learn these endings. Because when you're looking at the word in a construction, in a sentence, it's going to tell you first person, second person, third person, singular or plural. This is present, active, indicative, and it's vitally important that you learn the endings. I learned them by just, just a little method, OEC, Amanetiusi. OEC, Amanetiusi. OEC, Amanetiusi. You can do better on pronunciation later on, but learn those endings. Okay. Pardon me.
Dr. Deems, is it always transcribed the same way? So it's always the Omicron, and it starts with the epsilon, iota, sigma, for every single one, it starts that way?
Yes, sir. Notice the stem. I was going to get into this later, but tell me what the stem is in all of these.
The actual verb.
It's li.
Lee.
Li is the stem. Okay? If you know the stem, then when you add the ending, it tells you whether it's first, second, or third person, singular or plural. I'm loosing, you're loosing here, she is loosing, and so on. But the stem remains the same. And we're going to learn later on in other endings, that's the way you understand who's doing what, to make it simple as I can. Okay, would you look at number 20 on page 21 with me? We're going to take a break in just a moment. But look at number 20. The part of the verb which remains constant throughout the conjugation and has the various endings added is called the stem. So li is your stem in present active indicative. Li will always be the stem. It never changes. Li's the stem in present active indicative. Notice what I said. Present active indicative. Li never changes. When we go to other tenses, there'll be a prefix. It will change some. And you have to notice the prefix and the ending. But right now, all I want you to know is the endings. Li's the same. Learn the endings. O-E-S-E, amen, ete, usi. By using those, you can parse a word, and that's very, very important. Look at number 20 again. Thus, the present stem of leo is li. The present stem of a verb can be obtained by removing the final omega from the form given in the vocabulary. Thus, the present stem of lego, I say, is leg. Leg. Remove the ending. The stem is leg. So, the conjugation of the present active indicative of any verb in the vocabulary can be obtained by substituting the present stem of that verb for li, and then adding the endings omega, is, e, amen, ete, or usi. There you go. They are given above. The primary personal endings, which would naturally stand in the tenses called primary tenses, were, it seems, originally as follows. I'm not worried about you learning that. Don't worry about that. All I want you to know is the stem is li, and then the endings. Any question about that? Look at 21, number 21. In the present tense, there is in Greek no distinction between alus, which simply represents the action as taking place in present time, and I am loosing. They're the same thing. We saw that in the paradigm. I loose, or I am loosing, is present tense, active voice, indicative mood. Look at the bottom of the page in the little print. The primary tenses are the present, the future, and the perfect. Those are the primary tenses. You're going to see them in your reading more than any of the other tenses. The primary tenses, present, future, and perfect. But notice, the secondary tenses are the pluperfect, the aorist. Now, he don't mention it here, but there's a first and second aorist. And we'll learn that hopefully through the course. But the secondary tenses are the imperfect, the aorist, and the pluperfect. And boy, it means a lot when you're studying the Greek New Testament to look at the tense and see what kind of action we're talking about. All right, turn on over, if you will, to page number 22. All English Greek exercises should be written. We're going to take a break. I think I gave you that for homework, didn't I? Didn't? Okay. We'll go over it in class, and I will show you how to pronounce it. But let's take a break right now. Take about 10 minutes. About a 10-minute break. Those of you that are remaining in class, you can see that we're going over and over and over and over. So that's why I told you, don't be concerned. I want you to do your best, of course, but don't worry about it. We're going to do it enough that it'll become second nature to you.